The town called her a fool, a traitor, all because she poured coffee for a man they feared. But when his true story came to light, and hundreds of bikers roared into Willow Creek to repay her kindness, people started to listen. And what happened next? It changed the town forever. Welcome to Thankful Tales. Together we make their courage live beyond memory. In the small town of Willow Creek, where rolling green hills cradle faded dreams, Harper's Kitchen stands like a relic of better days. Its neon sign flickers weakly, the frosted glass windows smudged with time. Once the heartbeat of this community, it's now a shadow of its glory, with cracked leather booths, chipped checkered tiles, and a ceiling fan creaking in the thick summer air. The scent of burnt coffee mingles with the heat slipping through open windows, wrapping the place in a heavy, familiar haze. Ellen Harper, the owner, is in her 40s, her brown hair streaked with gray, her tired eyes still sparking with grit. She left a nursing career in the city to return to Willow Creek after her dad, Frank, had a stroke. Now he's in a care home, and Ellen's fighting to keep his legacy alive. Electric bills pile up on the counter, red final notice stamps bleeding through envelopes. Every day, she tells herself, just a few more months. But 18 months have passed, and the diner's still sinking. Ellen wipes the counter with a worn rag, her fingers scrubbing at stubborn stains. The doorbell chimes a sound that used to make her dad smile. Now just a reminder of slow business. Only a few regulars today, Mrs. Henderson clutching her old leather purse, the Wilson brothers in faded tees, and Mr. Carter in his weathered baseball cap. They sit scattered across the diner, murmuring about failed crops or the factory's latest layoffs. Then the bell rings again, sharper this time. A tall man steps in, wearing a scuffed leather jacket and a vest stitched with an Iron Rider's patch, a local motorcycle club. The air shifts, tense and heavy. Mrs. Henderson freezes mid-bite, her hand tightening on her purse. The Wilsons whisper, their eyes narrowing. In Willow Creek, bikers spell trouble, though no one's sure why anymore, maybe some bar fight from 20 years back. The man, Henry Sullivan, slumps onto a stool at the counter's end, shoulders hunched like he's dodging their stares. Ellen steps over, flashing a practiced smile, though her heart's racing. Welcome to Harper's Kitchen. What can I get you, black coffee? And whatever's quick, Henry says, his voice low, worn out, as Ellen pours. She notices his hands tremble slightly, a hospital band peeking out from his sleeve, his pale blue eyes, bloodshot and hollow. Look like they haven't rested in days. Rough day, she asks, soft, the way her dad used to ease strangers into talking. Henry nods, staring into nothing. Just came from Riverside Hospital. My daughter, she's not doing great. Ellen's chest tightens. She knows those hospital nights, the sterile smell, the beep of machines, sitting by her dad's bed. I'm so sorry. I hope she pulls through. Henry just nods, gripping his coffee mug like it's keeping him afloat. Ellen turns to plate up eggs and toast, but she feels the weight of eyes Mrs. Henderson's. The Wilsons locked on Henry. In Willow Creek, judgment spreads faster than gossip. Ellen knows her next move could shift everything. A kind word, a moment of trust, or a cold shoulder, it's her call. And in this fading diner, where time clings to every crack and creak, that choice might just rewrite the story of Harper's Kitchen. The silence in Harper's Kitchen was suffocating after Brennan and Taylor left. The doorbell's chime felt like a scolding as Mrs. Henderson hurried out, her old leather purse clutched tight. The Wilson brothers, usually loud, paid quietly, avoiding Ellen's eyes. Henry ate fast, leaving a 20 on the counter. Thanks, he whispered, his low voice heavy with gratitude, when he walked out. The bell rang again, but the air stayed thick, as if prejudice had seeped into the diner's worn walls. Next morning, Ellen arrived early, but a sign taped to the glass door stopped her cold. No biker lovers welcome in Willow Creek. The red letters burned like a wound, her hands shaking as she tore it down. Inside, the diner was empty, just the smell of burnt coffee and the creak of the ceiling fan. Mrs. Carter, a regular, sat in the corner but didn't look up when Ellen greeted her. Ellen wiped the counter, fighting the fear creeping in, her heart pounding like it might break free. Word spread fast in Willow Creek. At the grocery store, Mrs. Patterson hissed to Mrs. Jenkins, Ellen Harper, defending a biker Who does she think she is, Mr. Thompson? The auto shop owner. Shook his head. That diner's done for, even in the diner. Whispers cut like knives. Ellen overheard a customer mutter. She picked the wrong side. She forced a smile, but each judging glance sliced at her pride. Business tanked. Tables once filled with laughter sat empty. Only a few stray customers left. Ellen crunched numbers, her hands trembling as she realized yesterday's take barely covered the electric bill. She wiped the counter for the 4th time, the frayed rag scraping at a stubborn stain, as if it could erase her dread. Just get through this, she told herself. But the words felt frail, drowned out by the silence of a doorbell that didn't ring. One afternoon, Tom Wilson, a regular since her dad's days, walked in. He sat at the counter, his eyes hard. "Ellen, we need to talk plain," he said, voice low. "What are you doing defending a biker, going against the cops? The whole town's turning on you." Ellen felt stabbed. Tom was like family, and his words stung deep. "Tom, he's just a dad worried about his kid. He didn't do anything wrong," she said, her voice shaky. Tom shook his head. "You're naive." "Ellen, those types bring trouble. You'll lose everything." He left, leaving Ellen with pain and loneliness. That night, by her dad's bedside, Ellen poured her heart out. "I don't know if I'm right or wrong." "Dad," though he couldn't answer. She recalled his words. Judge people by their actions, not their clothes. But fear still crept in. Could she save her dad's legacy as she locked up the diner? A distant rumble of motorcycle engines growled like thunder. Peering through the window, she saw headlights flickering in the dark. Her pulse raced. Were they coming for her? Or was it something else? The uncertainty gripped her, heavy as the quiet in Harper's kitchen, where every creak and shadow seemed to whisper of a town turning its back. Ellen Harper stood behind the counter at Harper's kitchen, wiping an invisible stain, her mind tangled in worry. Empty tables, a silent cash register, and the bitter smell of burnt coffee screamed of losing her dad's legacy. Then, a low rumble broke the quiet, like distant thunder. Ellen's head snapped up, her heart racing. The roar of motorcycle engines grew louder, shaking the diner's glass windows. She stepped to the window, eyes wide as dozens of gleaming bikes filled the parking lot. Sunlight glinted off helmets, the air thick with the scent of leather and gasoline. Men and women, about 100 strong, wearing vests stitched with Iron Riders patches, dismounted, removed their helmets, and filed into the diner. They packed every booth, stood shoulder to shoulder in the aisles, yet stayed polite, nodding to Ellen with quiet respect. A white-bearded man, tall and broad, with a president's patch on his vest, approached. "You, Ellen, I'm Marcus, Iron Riders president," he said, extending a massive hand. "Henry told us about you. You stood up for him when no one else would." Ellen shook his hand, her voice shaky. "I just did what's right." Marcus smiled, his eyes warm. "Not many would. You gave Henry strength to keep fighting for his daughter." The bikers ordered food, their laughter and chatter filling the diner. Ellen and her waitress, Clara, darted around, sweat beading. But the cash register sang with every ring, a melody of hope, the aroma of toasted bread and sizzling bacon mixed with the clink of coffee mugs, breathing life back into Harper's kitchen after its darkest days. Word spread through Willow Creek. Townsfolk, who'd shunned Ellen, gathered outside the windows, curious. Some shook their heads, but others, like Mrs. Henderson, stepped inside, drawn by the warmth. She sat beside a female biker. Discovering they both loved quilting, they swapped patterns, laughing like old friends. Dave Wilson, a veteran, bonded with a biker who'd served in Vietnam, sharing war stories, their eyes bright with shared understanding. By evening, Marcus stood, raising a hand. The diner fell quiet, only the ceiling fan's creak lingering. "I want to thank Ellen Harper," he said, his voice booming. "She stood by Henry, our brother, when this town turned its back. Her courage reminds us judge people by their actions, not their clothes." He paused, scanning the room. "From now on, Harper's kitchen is under Iron Rider's protection. We'll be regulars, and anyone who troubles her answers to us." Applause erupted, from bikers to townsfolk. Mrs. Henderson wiped tears. Dave Wilson nodded in respect. Ellen stood behind the counter, eyes misty, feeling the weight of their recognition. She'd saved not just the diner, but faith in kindness. The doorbell chimed as old regulars trickled in, as if Willow Creek was opening its heart again. The rumble of engines faded into the night, but the diner glowed with new life. Ellen wiped the counter, a small smile breaking through. For the first time in months, she felt her dad's legacy was safe, carried not just by her, but by a community learning to see beyond the surface. One brave act at a time. Harper's kitchen glowed under the neon lights, the sound of laughter and country music spilling from the outdoor speakers. Ellen Harper, sweat beading on her forehead, hustled back and forth, hands full of steaming plates of sandwiches. The diner, silent just yesterday, now brimmed with life Iron Riders bikers, townsfolk, and kids gawking at the shiny motorcycles in the lot. The smoky aroma of grilled meat from the outdoor barbecue blended with fresh coffee, creating an unexpected festival vibe in Willow Creek, amid the crowd. Ellen spotted Henry Sullivan at the door, his eyes lighter than before. "Hope you don't mind me bringing a few friends," he said, a half smile breaking through. Ellen laughed, the first real laugh in days. "I think I can manage." Henry pulled her aside, his voice low. "My daughter, Jessie, she's doing better. Docs say the new treatment's working. She wants to meet the woman who stood up for her dad." Ellen's heart swelled. She hugged Henry, feeling the warmth of his worn leather jacket. "I'd love to meet her," she whispered, as night fell. Marcus, the Iron Riders president, called for attention. The diner hushed, only the ceiling fan's creak lingering. "Ellen Harper's more than a diner owner," he said, his voice booming. "She stood for justice. For our brother Henry, when no one else would." Harper's kitchen is the Riders' home now. He locked eyes with Officer Brennan, who sat quietly in the corner. "Anyone who troubles her deals with us." Applause roared. Mrs. Henderson wiped tears. Dave Wilson nodded in approval. The next morning, at Willow Creek's Veterans Day ceremony in the town square, Ellen was called to the stage. Marcus and a few bikers stood below, their leather vests gleaming in the sun. The mayor handed her a plaque for uniting the community. Townsfolk, who once shunned her, clapped. Even Brennan, his tone softer now. Ellen looked out, her dad's words echoing judge people by their actions, not their clothes, locking up the diner that night. Ellen found a package on the counter. Inside was a leather vest embroidered with "Friend of Iron Riders" and a note from Henry, for the bravest diner owner. "Jessie says hi." Ellen hung the vest beside her dad's old apron. Two symbols of kindness. She felt Willow Creek changing. A town once choked by prejudice now saw the humanity beneath the leather. Ellen's story isn't about grand heroics. It's about a woman who stood up for a stranger, saved her family's legacy, and healed a community. Her quiet courage, like the doorbell's chime in the breeze, reminds us kindness can change the world. One cup of coffee at a time, in a place where judgment once ruled. Ellen built a bridge, not with words, but with actions simple, brave, real. Willow Creek learned to listen, to see beyond the surface, and to trust again. If you loved this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Drop a comment below with a moment of kindness you've seen it could inspire someone out there. Don't miss our next video, right there on your screen. See you soon. Friends, keep spreading light in your own corner of the world, because every small act matters more than you know.